those people out on the interwebs. I'm sure there are millions. So we have some marketing people here, so this is not going to be that revolutionary to you marketing people, but what we wanted to do is kind of just give you a behind the scenes of some campaigns, local campaigns that you might recognize, that you've seen in Cincinnati, kind of the whole process of from start to finish, from the project brief all the way through the creative revisions to it going on air and then assessing and adjusting. So a little background between us. I'm the creative director and owner. I've been in the market about 25 years. I was with another agency for 16 years, and I've been with Creative Inventions for 9 years. I bought the agency from Arnold Barnett back in 2012. Nate and I have worked together for 20 years. We worked at our previous agency. Nate went his separate way. Then we came back together here. But our previous agency, we worked on a lot of iconic Cincinnati brands: Skyline, Gold Star, U.S. Bank, Cintas, Biggs when they were in town. So we have a lot of kind of iconic Cincinnati brand experience. And Nate, why don't you give them a little
microphone. My name is Nathan Creamer, and my background is in art, and I don't know how to get this on. So yeah, I've been in the industry for about 20 years, and the first job was with Friedman, Gibson and White, and after that went to Bridge Worldwide, which is mostly online. They do a lot of stuff with P&G, digital marketing, and so I've been with Creative Dimensions now for over 5 years. Not even sure, so it's been a while. So yeah, my background is in art and do a lot of graphic design, illustration, and all of that.
All right, so the creative marketing process, or at least our version of it. Kind of every project starts with planning. We meet with a client and we review their key market drivers, and we come up with a creative brief which outlines what our goals are. And from that point, Nate and I get down to business. I'm a copywriter by nature. Typical ad agencies, art directors and copywriters are kind of joined at the hip, and that's the two kind of key creative groups. There's a copywriter and there's an art director, and they work together to create concepts. So once we have our creative brief, we go into the concepting stage of things. We come up with, hopefully, lots of great concepts. We take them to the client. They approve a concept, tweak it, and then we go into execution. If it's a print ad, we execute the print ad. If it's a TV commercial, we hire a production company and we produce the TV commercial. And then goes to the placement where it goes, whatever it is, it goes on air, it goes into the newspaper. If it's a digital ad, it goes on the internet. If it's a website, obviously it goes on the web. And then hopefully we have wonderful results, and we assess and adjust from there. So digging down just a little bit more into these phases. Strategic planning. So what we go to the client, we try and determine what their marketing objectives are. We figure out what their target audience or audiences are. We figure out who their competitors are and what they are doing in the market. Obviously, everything has a budget, so we determine the budget, how much they're going to spend, and then we figure out what the call to action is going to be. We come up with a media usage recommendation. Where's it going to air? Where are people going to see it? And then all that gets boiled down into the creative brief. Then concepting, our goal is to explore a bunch of different directions, and our Nate and I kind of have this philosophy that we want to present a range of ideas to the client, from safe to they're squirming in their seat a little bit. So, and we try and present a range in between. Typically when we're doing a campaign, we might present anywhere from 3 to 5 campaigns of concepts, and it ranges from a little bit edgy to, or really edgy to, safe, and they feel comfortable with it. Obviously, we want to keep the budget in mind. We don't want to come up with, if a client has a budget of $100,000 for a campaign, we don't want to bring back a TV commercial that's going to cost $50,000 to produce. We want to make sure that everything's realistic, and they can use the majority of their money in the media placement. So we kind of try and strike that balance and keep everything in balance, and we don't want to blow their budget on production. Execution. So this is where Nate kind of does all his magic. He's either I'm writing the copy, Nate's doing the layouts, maybe we're having photography or illustration. A lot of times we're using stock images right now because they're cheap, they're getting better, and people a lot of times can't afford original photography, so we use a lot of stock. If it's TV or radio, we hire an outside production company, and we work with a lot locally. Budget, it all comes down to budget. Today, everybody wants everything cheap and fast. When we were at Freeman Gibson & White, working for U.S. Bank, we'd have production budgets for TV commercials that were $250,000. We will never see that these days. That's when we were shooting on film. Nowadays, everything's just gotten easier and easier to produce. So, you could shoot a TV commercial on your camera, on your phone right now. I mean, it's just insane how technology has changed things and made things cheaper and cheaper. And clients now expect things to be cheaper and cheaper because they understand that. So cheap and fast. And then placement, it just depends. Whatever medium we're working in, the media buyer makes sure that it gets to the station or to the newspaper and everything goes on air. Finally, the results. Are there any results? Are they measurable? Did we see an increase in sales or traffic? What went right? What went wrong? What can we do to improve? And then we adjust and start over and do it all again. Now we're going to go into 3 different case studies of show you behind the scenes of how we came up with concepts, what we ended up executing, and then show you the final spots. And you might have seen these if you watch TV, or you've probably seen these on the air. So CarX. CarX is a relatively new client for us. They've been with us for a year. When we pitched the account last fall, they were doing exclusively radio, and they were doing 5s and 15s, which is obviously a very, very short message. And we analyzed everything and determined that they should be on TV. So we pitched the account, and we won it. We told them, kind of dragged them kicking and screaming from radio to TV. And in the year that they've been on the air, they've seen a 6.8% increase in sales, and their traffic car count has gone up 5%. So we're going to be continuing with TV. I think we proved it to them.
Are they all company-owned, or are they franchised?
They're franchised. So there's 2 franchisees in Cincinnati, and there's 22 total stores. But they're in different markets. They're in St. Louis and Chicago, Indianapolis. But in Cincinnati, there's 22 stores.
So the market campaign is for those 2 franchisees?
Correct. Yeah, Cincinnati.
So they have local budgets. They're not supported by corporate?
Exactly. So they pitch into an ad fund, and then that goes through the corporate, and then it comes back to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so strategic planning and the creative brief. I'm not going to read all this, but basically there's back and forth with the client. We develop this creative brief that describes the project overview, what was going on in the previous year, what's the target audience, what is the CarX brand, what were the communication objectives, support for the messages, other considerations or mandatory elements. So all of this is our roadmap for Nate and I to start concepting. And so we knew we were concepting TV, so this is, Nate's going to give you just a brief overview and show you what the concepts were that we presented, and then we'll show you the final product.
All right, so yeah, this phase, the brainstorming phase, right? So we'll just sit down and we kind of know what the roadmap is, what we kind of have to stay in and play with, what the message needs to be, and with CarX, they've been around for a long time. A lot of people recognize them and the CarX man and their jingle. I'm sure everybody knows their jingle. So we wanted to first play into all of that, the heritage and the nostalgia. So 1971 was kind of the first idea, which was when they were created, and we wanted to show. So in this, what you're looking at here is it's a storyboard, right? You can probably not see things too well, but I'll just quickly walk through it. So the middle is kind of the visual of things, and we're explaining the visuals here, and over here is kind of the audio. So in this first spot, 1971, it shows things that were around in 1971, such as gas prices being 34 cents, the calculator, and the birth of the CarX man. And it's all about, a lot of things have changed, but CarX hasn't changed and is still around. So you can kind of trust them, they've been around.
This was a close second to what they ended up producing. They liked this campaign a lot. There was a companion spot that talked about Cincinnati, specifically what was going on in Cincinnati in 1971.
And the next idea is all about I brake for. So two of the main messages, one being brakes and the other is just general car care that we wanted to get across. So this one was all about their brakes. So just having fun and creating little bumper stickers that say anything from I brake for yard sales, I brake for Pokemon, I brake for squirrels, having fun with it.
We end with I brake for no reason. Could be the Blue Ash drivers.
Yeah. Right, that everyone can relate to, and also relating it to the car. And then a spot that kind of goes with it that is not so brake focused, just more car in general, playing off the license plates and having fun with all the different license plates. And so another direction we played with was trust, right? Because with a lot of car repair places, a lot of people don't trust the car repair people. So we wanted to touch on that message as well. So this was who ate the last donut. So it would be in a CarX shop, and you have mechanics, and somebody ate the last donut, and the guy confesses to it. It's honest answers, and then we kind of go through the benefits of CarX, and again, the idea of just being overly honest. So we had a couple other ideas that were along with this of some of the CarX men just being overly honest, basically. And these last two ideas, they play into being prepared. So it's all about getting your car worked on and maintained so that you don't have those moments on the road that you definitely don't want. So, and we tried to give a graphic look to these spots as well with the bright yellow and everything real clean and simple. It's, hard for you guys to see, but you'll see the spots. All you can see is this little ball bouncing into the screen, and then a couple seconds later, a little girl runs out after it, and then you see just the brake marks skidding across the road. So it's real clean and simple. It's a CarX moment. Be prepared. Then we go into all the CarX advantages, and the spot ends with the little dog running across the road, slamming on the brakes, and clean and simple.
And we wanted this to they chose this spot. What they liked about it is it doesn't look like really any other auto repair spots. Typically you're inside the shop and there's a talking head and they're helping somebody. So this kind of stood out, and we feel like it really does stand out quite well. So the production, this was shot on a green screen. We kept it very, very affordable for the client.
We weren't even there.
Yeah.
Normally the agency is there, but we did this at a distance, basically, with the production team to keep costs down as much as possible.
And there were 2 spots that aired. We had multiple donuts offers that rotated. So there were maybe 2 main spots that had 4 or 5 different donuts on the end offers that ran throughout the year. So here's the spots.
A ball bounces into the road, followed by your 4-year-old neighbor. This is a CarX moment. Make sure you're prepared. Stop by your neighborhood CarX, where for a limited time, brake pads are only $89.99 per axle. $89.99 installed. Your CarX man provides the best in brakes, tires, and bumper-to-bumper auto repair. So you'll be ready for the next CarX moment. Don't worry, call the CarX man. Halfway through your family road trip, your car stalls on the side of the road. Be prepared so this doesn't happen to you. Visit CarX today for a complimentary vehicle inspection. If you do need service, get up to $200 off with a coupon at CarX.com. Your CarX man is an expert in all scheduled maintenance and repairs. No matter how big the job, he'll get you in and out and on your way. Book an appointment at CarX.com. Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Was that campaign? It ran on local news. We're big believers in local news. It's something that people don't really, they watch it live, they don't really DVR it. So we buy a lot of local news for our clients. Prime Access, which is the period right before Prime. It's like The Big Bang Theory and all those shows between 7 and 8. And then we bought some cable as well. And then we ran radio that went along with these campaigns during 5 key holiday drive time kind of things, President's Day, throughout the year. So it was a combination of TV and radio, but the radio was where they were 100% radio before. We brought it way, way down to maybe 10 to 15% of the budget. Results, I mentioned this, the sales currently are up 6.8% from last year. Vehicle car counts are up 5%. And we're currently planning for 2019. We're going to continue with this campaign, and we're going to keep doing TV.
Can
Yeah.
Can it be marketed to other CarX franchisees?
Possibly. Yeah. We're talking to another market, a different franchisee right now, too. Okay, Christ Hospital, Joint and Spine. Christ has been one of our bigger clients. We started working on them probably 3 years ago. It started with just a little logo design that we did, and we've kind of just built up, and now we're doing more and more work for them. They have other agencies, but we're one of their primary creative agencies. So this was a campaign that may still be up. It ran throughout the late summer. Started with a creative brief, obviously. They wanted an awareness campaign. They came to us and they said, we just want to be known as the destination for joint and spine care. That's what we want. That's it, just awareness. There wasn't a whole lot of call to action. I don't think we even used phone numbers or websites on the billboards, did we? I'll have to look. But so it was just an awareness campaign. Christ Hospital, Joint and Spine Center, the destination for joint and spine care. They wanted outdoor, radio, digital, and so a lot of banner ads, and then what else did we do? Direct mail, print. Yeah, so pretty comprehensive campaign. The only thing we were really lacking was TV. So here were the concepts we presented. Nate, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, so no TV on this one, so there's no storyboards. We lay out basically the whatever we're going to be running or proposing they run. So we started. They had already been doing a campaign, which was the Destination for Joint and Spine Care, which was basically showing people getting hurt. And so we wanted to start there where they were at, but kind of give it a fresh look, basically, so a real simple graphic feel, and also have more fun with the headlines. So this first one was very close to where they had been, so kind of just taking one step forward. So when you tear down a hill and tear your ACL, the destination for orthopedic care. Or when it's not your garden variety back pain, the destination for joint and spine care. Real simple. And this next one here was all about the headline. And this one would have been real simple to produce, real cheap and simple. And it was all about having simple headlines: battered back, shot shoulder, lacerated ligament, see a joint genius, the destination for orthopedic care. Tender tendon, nagging neck, achy ankle, see a rock star rheumatologist.
Alliteration, so going for the alliteration.
And this idea, which would basically just be a visual, the headline, the destination for joint and spine care. So we took the idea of taking the little map pin and putting it on the different body areas that someone might go and see the joint and spine care. So whether it's the knee, the spine, the ankle, the wrist, whatever it is. So it had just been a simple visual with their line, big and bold front and center. Which, we thought was a real simple way to go about it. This idea was all about numbers. So, the destination being the number one destination for joint and spine care, but then getting in some of the stats, such as 360 joints, one destination, or 33 vertebrae, one destination, just getting that tie in. And again, if anytime we can keep it simple with just headlines and stock photos, keep the budget down. And then this one, we really liked this idea. We thought tying it in with other local destinations that people are familiar with in Cincinnati, but not just destinations that would lead them to the other destination. So whether it's the Little Miami River being the destination for canoeing, we have the little guy, he's in the sign that you can see. He's crashing his bike or he's hurting himself rowing. So it always leads back to the destination for joint and spine care. And so we had already come up with tons of these. Like this had legs basically, and it was great. So you can run any of these in whatever town it was, and just try and come up with all these different destinations that only people in Cincinnati really would recognize.
That was the campaign they picked. I don't know if you guys saw any of it. You would have probably seen outdoor more than anything, so it was kind of everywhere. But we produced outdoor, print, digital, and radio. Here was a couple of the print ads.
Where did those go? Did they go in local magazines?
Yeah, the Enquirer is where they mostly will run print. So.
And how did these places feel about being associated with injuries?
Well, we had to keep that in mind, right? So it's like they want to do Cincinnati Zoo, but you can't do Cincinnati Zoo.
These are all public places.
And no
The
one
city
can
of
sue.
Loveland probably still wouldn't be all too happy.
I don't know.
That's reality.
We kept that in mind because the client came back to us and said, we want to do Kings Island. We said, no, we can't do Kings Island. Or, we want to do the zoo. No, we can't do the zoo. So we had to keep it real public places. Yateman's Cove, Loveland Bike Trail, East Fork Lake, Mount Airy Forest. You got the little hiking guy. And then here was a radio spot that was specific to Loveland. I I wrote this. I got a buddy who bikes on the Loveland Bike Trail. His name is Mike, and so this was kind of a spot about Mike.
Mike spent every Sunday on the Loveland Bike Trail. He would cycle to South Lebanon and then motor up to Morrow. But one morning, a groundhog ran out in front of him. He flew heels overhead into the bushes. Groundhog 1, Mike's knee 0. So he shifted gears and headed to see a specialist with the Christ Hospital Joint and Spine Physicians. As the region's destination for joint and spine care, he knew they could get him back on the trail. To learn more, visit thechristhospital.com/destination.
So we had a couple different radio spots that ran. There was a golfing one, and then that bike trail one. So we did outdoor. We did static and digital outdoor, print, and then obviously going into those local community papers like Loveland and all the different communities was kind of important for this campaign. We did a lot of banner ads and push-down ads and Facebook ads, and then radio. This campaign is just wrapping up, so we don't really have any results. It's an awareness campaign too, so unless we had done a benchmark figure at the beginning of the campaign, it would be kind of tough to measure awareness without that benchmark baseline measurement. All right. The third one we're going to talk about is Gilkey Window Company. Strategic planning, a creative brief. We didn't do a creative brief for Gilkey. Gilkey's a little bit, they're a little bit more kind of fast and loose. They were doing a campaign that had featured Mike Gilkey's grandkids in print. And they would have little thought bubbles with them. And so when we got the account a couple years ago, we kind of wanted to take that campaign to the next level.
Little grandkids with thought bubbles. And that's kind of what they wanted, right?
Yep. So we kind of knew what we were doing. So we jumped straight past the creative brief and went straight to the concepting phase.
So, all right, it was all about just focusing on family and his grandkids. So this first spot, and these are TV ideas that we were presenting. So we do little sketches for the different scenes. So this first idea was all about home movies. So we would shoot it to make everything look like home movies, where Mike is playing with the grandkids, and in every scene, the window is making an appearance somewhere in these scenes. The doors and windows are making appearances. So we try and make them feel like home movies and get that emotional aspect through all of it. And the second half of the ads are usually Mike talking about, Gilkey windows and going into an offer. And the next idea was more focused on the kids, using the grandkids as the stars, giving each of them a line to say. And there's two, the twins they're pretty little, so they can't really say anything. And we were just going to use the thought bubbles. So it would be something like, what's it mean to be part of the Gilkey family? It means you invested in the best windows on the market. It means you take pride in home and its appearance. And it means you're one smart cookie in the little thought bubble. And then we go to the last little kid. Did someone say cookies?
So working with kids, kids and animals are the two most difficult things to work with. You can't really, they're hard to control. So we wanted to keep everything really, really simple. And we were concerned that, it could maybe not work out, and we'd get on the shoot, and we're kind of screwed if that happens. If the kids don't want to talk or they have a fit. I've had my kids in commercials before, and there was something we did for Tire Kingdom a few years ago, and my daughter was probably 3 at the time, and she was supposed to kick this guy in the shin. Didn't happen. We could not get her to do it, and we just had to, completely adjust and punt and go from there. So kids can be difficult. Even your own kids can be difficult.
I think they'd want to kick somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And they never perform. So these next couple ideas were kind of more lighthearted, and again, was Mike with the kids playing, or with the kids in some way, but there was always a little twist with Mike being obsessed with the perfect window and building the perfect window because they manufacture their own windows. So they're playing Legos at the table. Look, Grandpa, I made a dinosaur. I made a race car. What did you make, Grandpa? I made a double-hung, triple-pane window with fused corners and quadruple weather stripping. Of course you did, Grandpa. And then the other spot to go with that was story time. So Mike, with all the grandkids gathered around, and he's getting ready to tell the story. The story is the perfect window, one man's obsession. So it's all about Mike telling his story to the kids. And the kids, this is where we bring in the thought bubbles, and they have all their thoughts about, not this story again, I'm hungry, when is this over? And just poking fun at Mike, basically, being obsessed with the windows. And they love these last two.
Yeah, so those are the two that we produced. It was, once again, small budget. We shot them in the marketing director's house, so we didn't have that fee. We obviously we didn't have any talent fees because we're using Mike's grandchildren and Mike himself. For the Lego spot, we did actually get this. We had to find somebody that could make this very intricate Lego window. So, I got on the web and searched for Lego artists and found somebody in Cincinnati, and he put together this window for $600. It was so they still have the window, so that was kind of cool. But here are the spots, and they've played for a year, so you might have seen them.
Look, Grandpa, I made a pony. I made a robot.
Wow.
What do you make, Grandpa?
I made a double hung window with triple weather strip sashes.
Of course you did, Grandpa.
I'm obsessed with building the best windows because I'm building them for you. If your home needs windows, we invite you to become part of the Gilkey family. Right now, take up to 25% off all windows and patio doors, or no interest up to 5 years. Call or visit us online today. Once upon a time, a determined young man set out to build the best window ever. Over the next
This story again. I want to go outside.
strongest, most energy-efficient window the world had ever seen. Tough crowd. If your home needs windows, we invite you to become part of the Gilkey family. Take $1,000 off 5 or more windows and $700 off patio doors. Plus, no interest for 12 months. Call or visit us online today.
So that was the Gilkey campaign. Here's some other things we didn't print. I think we kind of took their print to the next level. You can see here that Nate put Old Man Winter in the window there. Nate is a Photoshop master. The little twins are saying, "Sorry, Old Man Winter, we have Gilkey windows." So we always try and come up with, cute little things to put in the kids' mouths. We have a library of photos that we've shot for them. And, whatever the promotion is, we kind of come up with new ways to put fun little things in their mouths. And then
Do they get new topics or
so every month,
new word?
every month the offer changes, and we typically do, try and come up with new creative. Sometimes they do things that just have a house or windows, but the other part of the month they'll run they call it the family print, which features the kids. That's what we do in Cincinnati. They're also in Chicago. In Chicago, we didn't put any of this in there, but Mike doesn't make any sense in Chicago. Nobody knows who Mike Gilkey is in Chicago. So we found a local handyman, a fix-it, kind of like who would be here, Gary Sullivan. So a local guy who is endorsing the products in Chicago, and so he's Mr. Fix-It in Chicago, and he's featured in all the ads instead of Mike. So we had to kind of adjust there. So we do, once again, television, local news. We're big believers in local news. Cable. We do radio for them. Brian Thomas is a sponsor for Gilkey, and he promotes the product in Cincinnati. We do newspaper, direct mail, Valpak ads, Reach Magazine. And then I don't have the exact figures, but safe to say that they're doing extremely well with this campaign. They have told us that people call up. They don't even want windows or need windows, but they call up and tell the operator at Gilkey how much they love that Lego commercial. And so Mike has expressed to me personally that he's been doing this 40 years. He said, this is absolutely the best commercial we've ever done. We are planning for 2019. We obviously now have to come up with something as good as that, which, is no pressure, exactly. No pressure at all. So.
Chicago, why wouldn't you start branding him? I mean, we didn't know who he was either until we started getting branded.
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, it was kind of the marketing director's call. He's Mike's son-in-law, and I don't think they've never run Mike there. So I think Mike's kind of a local celebrity here, and it's a good question. I mean,
because you can associate him with whoever's doing it now, right? And then eventually, it's kind of like when you change your company name.
That's true.
This and this, and then that goes away, and that goes away, and pretty soon it's just him.
Yeah, Chicago's a really, really competitive market. I mean, there's obviously a ton of window manufacturers, but I think you could over time develop him. Mike's from Cincinnati, so it kind of makes more sense here. Whereas Chicago, hi, I'm Mike Gilkey from Cincinnati.
But to be honest, I know the Gilkey name, but I had no idea who he was.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've lived here most of my life, So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really the product that you're pushing. So I was just curious why he didn't try to brand the brand.
But I can get what your Chicago idea helps, because if you found a really credible, widely recognized fix-it homeowner, kind of a celebrity person in the Chicago market, then he or she brings a lot of credibility.
Yeah,
Right
and that was the thinking. And he wasn't cheap. I'm not sure of the exact figures, but they're paying him thousands of dollars a year to be the spokesperson for Gilkey Windows in Chicago. Chicago is. He is, and Chicago is going gangbusters. They've had their sales are through the roof since they started using this guy. What's his name? Manfredini, Lou Manfredini. Yeah, Mr. Fix-It. So they're doing really well in all their markets, but yeah, Chicago especially. So it's kind of what we had for you. Hopefully it's kind of, a little bit behind the scenes and what goes into creating a campaign, the creative process. Does anybody have any questions, answers? Is there anything that, we can try and, anybody that has any businesses that may need advice, we can try and give it. We're happy to.
You mentioned you guys like a lot of local news. You see that as a good avenue because people record it. It seems like everything's changing as far as how people consume their entertainment. What other things? I think you kind of spoke this in the newsletter piece too. Like what changes in viewer habits? How does that affect you guys? It's a lot going on with that.
So obviously everybody's probably heard of cord cutters. It's the millennial generation and younger that they don't have cable. They're streaming everything through Hulu or Netflix or YouTube, and they don't have any cable subscription whatsoever. They're not even watching, local TV at all. So one of the things that we're exploring, trying to integrate into some of these clients it's called OTT, or over-the-top TV. So it's streaming commercials. I'm sure you've been forced to watch commercials on YouTube or whatever. Typically, they're not 30 seconds. Typically, they're 10 to 15 seconds. But adjusting and moving some of broadcast budget over to this over-the-top television, which is streaming TV. And the good thing about that is it's really, really measurable. You can tell how many people watched through the entire commercial, how many people you can clicked from the commercial to the website. So it is definitely going to be more and more in use in the future, and we're trying to kind of get our clients to go that route as well, or at least consider it.
I want to say a couple things, but first of all, I really love your description of the creative process.
Thank you.
It was clever and fun, and I can see how the client really appreciates the diversity of ideas that you bring to them. And the other thing that struck me was I'm not a millennial, but I'm kind of atypical for my age maybe. I buy out everything I can so I don't have to have commercials. We pay the extra on Hulu. We don't have network TV. We don't have cable. I bought the YouTube Red so I don't have to have commercials on YouTube. So every commercial you showed was brand new to me. I've never seen any of them.
Right.
I've heard the CarX jingle for years.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really impressed by it. So what I felt like was, wow, if I did turn on network news and I saw the CarX spot or either of the Gilkey spots, wow, I would have said, well, that's really good. That would have interested me. They're short, they're clean, they're simple. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And it's kind of struck me funny because I miss most commercials, but I'm also find most of them really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. You're obviously a tough cookie to reach, and I do the same thing. I have YouTube Red, and we have Hulu and Netflix, the Prime membership. So, but my wife watches the Today Show every day, and so we catch the spots, during the Today Show, which is one of the programs that we buy quite a bit. But yeah, that's it's getting more and more difficult to reach people. And then, like I said, a lot of people DVR their programs, and they just fast forward through the commercial breaks. We record a lot of stuff and then watch it later so that we can skip through the commercials. And I'm in marketing, you think, but everybody does it. That's the one reason why we kind of, local news, you're getting ready in the morning for work. It's actually one of the cheaper day parts, so we heavy up on early morning news quite a bit, and then we do 6 o'clock news, do some late news in general we like a lot.
Do you do any, I guess they call it brand marketing? Like, my sister worked for BuzzFeed and Hitflix, and they would pay the company like Procter & Gamble and GE just to put their logo on their site. You can't even click on it or do anything, so just their logo. And they actually pay to have it to associate it with, like the million people that like to watch her would then see that and go to the store and be like, oh, that was, somehow associate that.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of that. I mean, we do brand marketing. All this stuff here, well, I guess Christ was more of a brand marketing. Everything else had offers, but that's becoming more and more of a kind of a niche. And it's been going on for years. When we worked on U.S. Bank, they were trying to figure out, they got approached by somebody who said, hey, we're doing this movie. Do you want to have U.S. Bank featured in this movie? If you watch a lot of shows nowadays, you see this overt effort to insert a product into it. My kids watch the show Tanked on cable, and they're driving in a Buick, and boy, wasn't that Buick great? I just love this Buick. And it seems a lot of times it's just really heavy-handed and obvious what they're trying to do, but it's another avenue.
How do you go about promoting yourself and finding new clients?
Well, our website, we had a meeting yesterday with a prospective client that found us online. They found our website, and they didn't even go to anybody else because they liked our website so much, which was, obviously great. We get a few of those a year. So we've, I think, done a really good job with our search engine optimization. If you search Cincinnati advertising agencies, we come up very high, typically on the front page of Google, which is obviously the goal. So we get a lot of, and then there's a lot of just cold calling. And I don't do a whole lot of cold calling. I'm not much of a salesperson, but send out a lot of portfolios, find a business that maybe we have experience with in the category, and send out samples of our work in an introductory letter. So I do a lot of that. Ask our clients for referrals is always good. So that's one of the tough things is the shoemaker never has shoes. That old story is we don't maybe do the best job marketing ourselves when we're trying to market all the other our clients, but it's something we got to work on.
So it'd be the toughest company to market for. Is your
It is. It's tough, and especially with advertising agencies as well, because there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of competition, and everybody's really creative, so it's tough to differentiate yourself in advertising.
I have just a question about, I know you had said you didn't put the zoo on the billboard and you didn't put Kings Island on the billboard, but did you put billboards close to those locations just as that subliminal message?
We had that campaign. There were billboards all over the place. So typically, if we were doing East Fork Lake, we tried to stay out on the east side.
Yeah.
We tried to kind of keep the creative kind of focused somewhat around where the actual location was.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. We do have a gift card drawing. They'll let you do the honors. We didn't get a CarX gift card, unfortunately. We have some graders for you instead. So.
Gilkey gift card? Free
No,
windows?
Gilkey.
That'd be nice.
That would be. Alicia Stevenson. All right, congrats. Enjoy. All right, well, thanks for coming, guys. And
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Steve and Nate. And come next month in Westchester.
That was more fun than I thought.
That's good. Go ahead and move to that. That was great.